As you sit down to enjoy your Christmas dinner, spare a moment to think about poor Snoop, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier. This heart-wrenching story has touched the hearts of many since it happened on Christmas Day in 2018, and it's easy to see why. Snoop's owner callously dumped him by the side of the road in England, along with all of his belongings. The worst part? It was all caught on camera, and the footage quickly went viral on social media. Watching Snoop running after the car, clearly heartbroken to be left all alone, is a scene that nobody can forget. It's no wonder he was soon dubbed the loneliest dog in the world. Who wouldn't feel lonely after being abandoned like that? Thankfully, a passerby discovered Snoop sitting miserably in the bed that his owner had thrown out with him, and the RSPCA launched an investigation into his case. Despite the vet scanning Snoop's microchip and tracing his previous owners, they don't believe either of them is responsible for abandoning him. The veterinary staff gave the dog the nickname Snoop, and he was thought to be just 2 years old at the time. It's heartbreaking to think that Snoop initially thought his owners were playing a game with him, trying desperately to get back in the car and even chasing after it in vain. If you're thinking about getting a new pet for Christmas, this heartbreaking story should serve as a powerful reminder of the responsibility that comes with pet ownership. These animals are loving and loyal creatures that suffer immensely when they are abandoned. If for any reason you find yourself unable to properly care for your pet, please take them to a shelter where they can be looked after until a new home is found. After enduring so much heartache and trauma, however, there is finally a happy ending to Snoop's story. The brave and loyal Staffordshire Bull Terrier was adopted by a loving new dad named Lawrence Squire, and it's clear that Snoop has finally found the home he deserves. Lawrence was watching the news one evening when he saw Snoop's story and was utterly shocked by the footage. He knew that Snoop was a loyal dog who had tried his best to get back in his car, and he knew that he could offer him a better life. As soon as Snoop stepped into his new home, he jumped onto the sofa, and it was as though he knew he belonged there. He loves to curl up on the back of the sofa while Lawrence plays music on Spotify, watching Snoop snuggle up in front of the speakers, all cozy like a bug in a rug, is a heartwarming sight that reminds us of the joy that pets can bring into our lives. Snoop the dog is a picture of loyalty, so much so that the RSPCA rescuers who saved him say he's prone to separation anxiety. Thankfully, Snoop's new dad Lawrence works from home, which means they can spend plenty of time together. Since arriving in his new home, Snoop has settled in quickly and is now living the life of a happy, well-loved dog. He spends his days napping, playing, and running around, just as he should be. Remember, your beloved dog also should flourish like a happy puppy under your care. To ensure that, you must take good care of its nutrition. Stop feeding your pup the same old junk food that leaves them sluggish and unhealthy. It's time to switch to Pup Labs, the premium dog food brand that's taking the pet world by storm. Their food is packed with high-quality natural ingredients that will keep your furry friend feeling full and energized all day long. No more empty calories or artificial fillers, just delicious, nutritious meals that your dog will love. Don't settle for subpar dog food. Upgrade to Pup Labs today and give your furry friend the gift of health and happiness. Warning: your dog may become addicted to our delicious food and refuse to eat anything else. Check the link in the bio. Dogs have been man's best friend for thousands of years, ever since the first canines were domesticated. But with domestication came a certain dependence on humans for survival, just like human babies. And the dog in our next story was in a desperate situation, stranded on a tiny deserted island in the middle of the ocean. For months, he waited for someone to rescue him, and finally someone arrived. But before we get into the detail, please take a moment and subscribe to this channel and smash the bell icon to never miss any of our amazing stories ever again. And with that said, let's delve into the story. Fernando Monthon is an intrepid explorer who loves to kayak around the remote islands off the coast of Paraguay. One day, while on his weekly expedition, he heard a chilling and desperate whimper coming from a nearby tiny island. As he paddled closer, he saw a dog so thin and emaciated he was almost invisible. Fernando was shocked to think that someone could abandon an animal in such a desolate place, and he knew he was the dog's only hope. As Fernando kayaked around the island's tip, he heard the familiar whimper again and soon discovered the dog walking around the island. As Fernando set out on his usual kayaking adventure, little did he know that he was about to become a hero for one very special dog. The pooch had been stranded on a tiny island for months, struggling to survive. Fernando heard the dog's desperate whimpering and knew he couldn't leave the poor creature behind. But getting the dog onto the kayak was no easy feat. The pup was terrified of water and refused to board. Fernando had used all of his patience and courage to coax the dog onto the kayak, and even then, it was a bumpy ride. But the determined man knew he had to do everything in his power to rescue this poor creature. Finally, after paddling for miles, Fernando and the dog reached safety. The poor pup was in a terrible state, suffering from malnutrition and mange, but he was alive thanks to Fernando's bravery. The staff at the shelter showered the dog with love, warmth, and medical care, and the pup was grateful beyond measure. always seeking out Fernando's comforting touch and showering him with puppy kisses. 5 days after Fernando's heroic rescue mission, he couldn't wait to see how the dog he saved was doing. As soon as he entered the shelter, the newly named Jack came running towards him with endless kisses and tail wags. It was clear to Fernando that Jack knew who had saved his life, and he was grateful. Looking at Jack now, Fernando was amazed at how much he had healed. His wounds had started to heal, and he seemed to be in much better spirits. It was all thanks to the shelter's staff's love and care, and of course, Fernando's persistence and kind heart. But the thing is, you don't have to be as heroic as Fernando to take proper care of your beloved pet. It includes your dog's IQ also. Is he disobedient and dull-witted? Do you want to turn your furry friend into a genius pooch that will make all the other dogs jealous? Brain Training for Dogs is the ultimate answer for you. Their cutting-edge program will challenge your dog's mind and unlock its full intellectual potential. Say goodbye to boring obedience training and hello to engaging mental exercises that will leave your pup begging for more. With Brain Training for Dogs, you'll see results in no time. Your dog will become more attentive, better behaved, and smarter than ever before. Don't settle for a lackluster canine companion. Give them the gift of brain training today. Check the link in the bio. Unfortunately, not every animal has a happy ending. Nancy, a volunteer at the West Coast Animal Shelter, has seen many animals come and go, but one dog, Moses, had left a lasting impression on her. Moses was a 4-year-old Pitbull, a breed that was often harshly rejected by families due to myths surrounding their aggression. It was his second time being abandoned, and Nancy couldn't fathom how anyone could give up on such a sweet and loving dog. Moses deeply moved Nancy. He clung to his owners in a way that showed he knew what was happening and couldn't bear to let go. Nancy asked his owners why they were giving him up, and they explained that they were moving to a new home that didn't allow dogs. It was heartbreaking for Nancy to see such a loving dog being abandoned, but she vowed to find him a new home where he would be loved and cherished forever. The bond between a dog and its owner is one of the strongest in the world, and when that bond is broken, it can be devastating for both parties involved. Nancy, a volunteer at the West Coast Animal Shelter, witnessed this heartbreak firsthand when she saw Moses cling to his owners as if begging them to stay. It was a moment that touched her deeply, and she knew she had to share it with others. After recording the emotional encounter and posting it online, people from all over the world began to show their support for Moses. It was clear that everyone who had heard the story wanted to see him find his happy ending. And thankfully, that's exactly what happened. Moses was adopted by a loving family with 2 small children, and he finally got the forever home he deserved. But while Moses was one of the lucky ones, there are still countless dogs out there who haven't been as fortunate. That's why it's so important to adopt, not shop. By adopting a dog from a shelter, you're not only saving a life, but you're also giving them the chance to have a happy ending like Moses. So what would you do if you saw an abandoned dog? Would you turn a blind eye, or would you take action? Let us know in the comments below. We love hearing from our viewers, and we're always eager to hear thoughts on animal welfare. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you the next time.